Sarah Chen had always been different from other kids her age. While her classmates spent their afternoons playing video games or scrolling through social media, she could be found at the local shooting range with her grandfather, learning the fundamentals of marksmanship. At just 16 years old, Sarah possessed a natural talent that left even experienced shooters amazed. Her grandfather, Robert Chen, was a retired Marine who had served 2 tours in Vietnam. He noticed Sarah's exceptional eyesight and steady hands when she was only 12 years old during a family camping trip. While teaching her basic gun safety with a small rifle, he watched in disbelief as she consistently hit targets that seasoned hunters would struggle with. From that moment, he knew his granddaughter had something special. The shooting range became their second home. Every weekend, Sarah would accompany her grandfather to the Precision Shooting Center, a facility known throughout the state for producing championship-level marksmen. The other shooters initially viewed the young girl with curiosity and mild amusement. A teenage girl among predominantly middle-aged men was certainly an unusual sight. However, their attitudes quickly changed as they witnessed her remarkable abilities. Sarah's technique was flawless from the beginning. Her breathing was controlled and rhythmic, her grip was consistent, and her trigger pull was smooth and deliberate. What impressed everyone most was her mental discipline. While other young shooters would become frustrated with missed shots or distracted by external noise, Sarah maintained an almost supernatural focus. She would study each shot, analyze the conditions, and make precise adjustments without showing any signs of emotion. Her grandfather invested considerable time and resources into her training. He purchased high-quality equipment, including a custom-built rifle specifically designed for precision shooting. The weapon cost more than many people's cars, but Robert believed in his granddaughter's potential. He also arranged for professional coaching sessions with former military snipers who could teach advanced techniques that civilian instructors might not know. The transformation in Sarah's abilities was remarkable. Within 6 months of intensive training, she was outperforming shooters who had been practicing for decades. Her groupings at 300 yards were tighter than what many accomplished marksmen could achieve at 100 yards. Local shooting competitions began to take notice of the young prodigy who was quietly dominating every event she entered. Sarah's parents initially had mixed feelings about their daughter's newfound passion. Her mother, Linda, worried about the violent associations people might make with shooting sports. Her father, Michael, was concerned about the time and money being invested in what he considered an unusual hobby for a teenage girl. However, as they watched Sarah's confidence grow and saw how the discipline was positively affecting other areas of her life, they became supportive of her pursuits. The young sniper's academic performance actually improved as she became more involved in competitive shooting. The mental focus required for precision marksmanship translated into better concentration during study sessions. Her mathematics grade soared as she applied ballistics calculations to real-world scenarios. Teachers noticed that Sarah approached problems with a methodical precision that was uncommon among students her age. Word of Sarah's exceptional abilities began spreading throughout the competitive shooting community. Coaches from various shooting clubs started recruiting her, offering scholarships and training opportunities that could lead to national-level competition. The United States Olympic Development Program even sent representatives to evaluate her potential for international competition. Despite the attention, Sarah remained remarkably humble and focused on continuous improvement. She spent hours studying ballistics manuals, weather patterns, and equipment specifications. Her bedroom walls were covered with charts showing bullet trajectories, wind drift calculations, and environmental factors that could affect shot placement. What started as a weekend hobby with her grandfather had evolved into a serious pursuit that consumed most of her free time. The shooting community began referring to her as the natural because of her intuitive understanding of factors that took other shooters years to master. Range officers would often gather to watch her practice sessions, amazed by the consistency of her performance. Even on days when weather conditions were challenging, Sarah seemed to adapt effortlessly, making adjustments that demonstrated an advanced understanding of external ballistics. Her grandfather recognized that Sarah had outgrown local competition and needed greater challenges to continue developing her skills. He began researching national-level events that would test her abilities against the country's best marksmen. The goal was no longer just recreational shooting or local competition victories. Sarah was ready to compete at the highest levels of the sport. The transition from local competitions to national events would require significant preparation and investment. Sarah would need to travel across the country, compete against shooters with decades of experience, and handle the pressure of high-stakes competition. The question was whether a 16-year-old girl, regardless of her natural talent, could perform under such intense circumstances. As Sarah prepared for her first major national competition, she remained focused on the fundamentals that had brought her this far. Her grandfather continued to emphasize the importance of mental discipline, consistent technique, and respect for the sport. They both understood that natural talent alone would not be sufficient at the national level. The competition would be fierce, and every detail would matter. The local shooting community rallied around Sarah as she prepared for the next phase of her journey. Fellow shooters contributed advice, equipment recommendations, and moral support. Many had watched her development from a curious 12-year-old into a formidable competitor, and they were invested in her success. The stage was set for Sarah Chen to test her abilities against the nation's best marksmen, carrying with her the hopes and expectations of everyone who had witnessed her remarkable rise in the world of precision shooting. The National Precision Rifle Championship represented the pinnacle of competitive shooting in America. Held annually in Wyoming, the event attracted the country's most skilled marksmen, including former military snipers, law enforcement specialists, and Olympic-level athletes. Sarah Chen stood among these competitors, the youngest participant by nearly a decade, and one of only 3 women in a field of over 200 shooters. The competition venue was intimidating even for experienced competitors. The course stretched across varied terrain, with targets positioned at distances ranging from 400 to 2,200 yards. Shooters would face challenges including elevation changes, unpredictable wind patterns, and environmental conditions that could change dramatically throughout the day. Each stage required different skills, from rapid target acquisition to precision shooting under time pressure. Sarah's arrival at the championship created considerable buzz among participants and spectators. News of the teenage girl who had dominated regional competitions had spread throughout the shooting community, but many remained skeptical about her ability to compete at this level. The physical and mental demands of the national championship were legendary, having broken the confidence of many accomplished shooters over the years. Her equipment setup reflected months of careful preparation. Sarah's custom rifle had been fine-tuned to perfection, with every component selected for maximum precision and reliability. Her scope was calibrated for the specific atmospheric conditions expected at the venue, and she carried multiple ballistics charts accounting for various environmental factors. The attention to detail demonstrated a level of preparation that impressed even veteran competitors. The first day of competition consisted of qualification rounds designed to narrow the field to the top 100 shooters. Each participant had to demonstrate proficiency at various distances under controlled conditions. Sarah approached each stage methodically, treating the qualification rounds with the same seriousness as the main event. Her grandfather watched from the spectator area, offering quiet encouragement between stages. As Sarah progressed through the qualification stages, her performance began attracting attention from other competitors. Her shot groups were consistently tight, and her ability to adapt to changing conditions was remarkable for someone with limited national-level experience. Veteran shooters who had initially dismissed her as a novelty began taking notice of her technical skills and mental composure. The competitive atmosphere was unlike anything Sarah had experienced at regional events. The pressure was intense, with sponsors, media representatives, and industry professionals closely monitoring performances. Prize money and equipment sponsorships worth hundreds of thousands of dollars were at stake, creating an environment where every shot carried significant consequences. Sarah's approach to competition differed from many of her more experienced competitors. While others displayed visible tension or engaged in psychological games, she maintained the same calm focus that had characterized her training sessions. Between stages, she would review her shooting data, make equipment adjustments, and visualize the next challenge. Her methodical preparation impressed competition officials who had worked with Olympic-level athletes. The qualification rounds concluded with Sarah earning a position among the top 50 shooters, an achievement that exceeded most observers' expectations. Her consistent performance across various disciplines demonstrated versatility that many specialists struggled to match. The accomplishment was particularly impressive, considering she was competing against shooters with decades of experience and military training. Media attention intensified as news outlets began covering the story of the 16-year-old girl who was outperforming seasoned professionals. Reporters sought interviews, but Sarah remained focused on competition preparation. Her grandfather handled media requests, protecting her from distractions while allowing appropriate coverage of her achievements. The main competition would take place over 3 days, with increasingly challenging stages designed to test every aspect of marksmanship skills. Weather forecasts predicted variable conditions, including wind gusts that could significantly affect bullet trajectory at longer distances. These environmental challenges would separate truly exceptional shooters from merely accomplished ones. Sarah's competitors included several former military snipers who had achieved legendary status within the shooting community. Their experience in combat situations provided advantages in handling pressure and making rapid adjustments under adverse conditions. However, Sarah's natural ability and intensive training had prepared her for challenges that experience alone could not address. The evening before the main competition began, Sarah participated in the traditional competitors' meeting, where rules were reviewed and safety protocols emphasized. She listened intently to instructions while other participants engaged in casual conversation and speculation about weather conditions. Her serious demeanor and obvious preparation impressed competition directors who had overseen countless championships. Equipment inspection revealed the sophisticated nature of Sarah's setup. Her rifle configuration reflected cutting-edge technology combined with time-tested precision shooting principles. The ballistics computer she carried contained atmospheric data and trajectory calculations that would have been considered science fiction just a few years earlier. Yet beneath all the technology was a shooter whose fundamental skills were exceptional. As the main competition approached, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and nervous anticipation. She had trained for this moment for months, but the reality of competing against the nation's best marksman was both thrilling and daunting. Her grandfather reminded her to trust her training and maintain the same approach that had brought success in regional competitions. The competitive field represented years of combined experience and achievements that filled multiple trophy cases. Sarah was clearly the underdog in every measurable category, except natural talent and preparation. However, precision shooting competitions were won by performance under pressure, not by reputation or experience alone. The stage was set for a 3-day battle that would determine who possessed the exceptional combination of skills necessary to claim the national championship. Dawn broke over the Wyoming mountains with perfect clarity, but weather stations predicted significant wind developments throughout the day. Sarah Chen arrived at the competition site 2 hours before the scheduled start, using the extra time to study atmospheric conditions and calibrate her equipment. The first stage would test shooters at 600 yards with a time limit that eliminated any opportunity for extended target analysis. The opening ceremony was brief, focusing attention on safety protocols and competition rules. Sarah stood among her fellow competitors, noticing how many appeared confident and relaxed despite the challenging course ahead. Former military snipers shared stories and techniques, while civilian competitors discussed equipment modifications and strategies. Sarah listened quietly, absorbing information while maintaining focus on her preparation routine. Stage 1 presented targets arranged in a pattern that required shooters to engage 5 different positions within a 4-minute time limit. The challenge was not just accuracy but also speed and target transition efficiency. Sarah had practiced similar scenarios extensively, but the pressure of national competition added complexity that training could not fully simulate. When her turn arrived, Sarah approached the shooting position with methodical precision. She established a stable firing position, adjusted her scope for the measured distance, and began her breathing routine. The first target fell cleanly with a shot that drew approving nods from range officials. Her transitions between targets were smooth and efficient, demonstrating hours of practice with similar scenarios. The second and third targets presented wind challenges that tested her ability to read environmental conditions quickly and accurately. Sarah's shots impacted slightly off-center but remained within the scoring zones, earning solid points while maintaining her time advantage. The fourth target required a significant elevation adjustment that she executed flawlessly, placing her shot in the center ring. The final target of Stage 1 demanded both precision and speed as the time limit approached. Sarah's breathing remained controlled despite the pressure, and her trigger pull was as smooth as her practice sessions. The shot broke cleanly, and the target fell with an impact that confirmed another center hit. She had completed Stage 1 with a score that placed her among the top 15 competitors. Stage 2 introduced long-range challenges at 800 yards with wind conditions that had intensified since morning. Targets were smaller and positioned to take advantage of natural terrain features that could create unpredictable air currents. Sarah studied the course through her spotting scope, identifying potential wind indicators and planning her approach to each target. The increased distance revealed the true skill levels among competitors. Several experienced shooters struggled with environmental conditions, producing groups that would have been acceptable at shorter ranges, but appeared scattered at 800 yards. Sarah's first shot at this stage demonstrated her exceptional ability to read wind conditions, impacting dead center despite gusty conditions that challenged even veteran competitors. Her performance at 800 yards created significant buzz among spectators and competitors alike. The mathematical precision required for consistent accuracy at this distance was extraordinary, particularly given the challenging atmospheric conditions. Sarah's ability to make first-round hits consistently suggested an intuitive understanding of external ballistics that impressed former military snipers in attendance. By midday, Sarah had moved into the top 10 overall standings, an achievement that exceeded even optimistic predictions about her performance. Media coverage intensified as reporters recognized the historic nature of her competitive showing. However, Sarah remained focused on the competition, declining interview requests until after the day's events concluded. Stage 3 presented the most technically challenging shooting of the day, with targets at 1,000 yards arranged in a complex pattern that required multiple equipment adjustments. The distance pushed both equipment and shooter capabilities to their limits, with environmental factors becoming increasingly critical to successful shot placement. Many competitors struggled with the transition to extreme long-range shooting. Sarah's approach to the 1,000-yard stage reflected months of specific preparation for this type of challenge. Her ballistics calculations were precise, accounting for elevation, temperature, humidity, and complex wind patterns that had developed throughout the day. The first shot required nearly 30 seconds of careful preparation, but the impact confirmed her calculations were accurate. The second target at Stage 3 demanded a significant windage adjustment as atmospheric conditions had shifted during the delay between shots. Sarah's ability to recognize and compensate for these changes demonstrated advanced skills that many competitors with decades of experience had not mastered. Her shot placement earned maximum points and drew applause from spectators. Competition. Officials began taking special notice of Sarah's performance as she maintained her position among the leaders despite facing challenges that had eliminated many experienced shooters. Her consistent accuracy across varied distances and conditions suggested exceptional natural ability combined with thorough preparation and training. The final stage of Day 1 tested shooters with rapid target engagement at multiple distances, simulating scenarios that required both speed and precision. Sarah's performance remained consistent, earning solid scores while maintaining the methodical approach that had characterized her shooting throughout the day. Her total score placed her 6th overall after the first day of competition. Evening brought analysis sessions where competitors reviewed their performance and prepared strategies for the second day. Sarah studied her shooting data with her grandfather, identifying areas for improvement while celebrating the successful completion of her first day at national-level competition. The statistical analysis revealed shooting consistency that impressed even skeptical observers. Other competitors began approaching Sarah with congratulations and technical questions about her equipment and training methods. The shooting community's acceptance of her abilities was evident in the respectful attention she received from veteran marksmen who recognized exceptional talent regardless of age or experience level. Media interviews after Day 1 focused on Sarah's remarkable performance and the historic nature of her competitive showing. She handled questions professionally while maintaining focus on the remaining competition days. Her composure during interviews demonstrated the same mental discipline that characterized her shooting performance. The first day had established Sarah as a legitimate contender for the championship, transforming her from an interesting novelty into a serious competitor who commanded respect from the nation's best marksmen. 2 more days of competition remained, with increasingly difficult challenges that would test every aspect of her preparation and natural ability. Day 2 of the National Precision Rifle Championship dawned with challenging weather conditions that would test even the most experienced competitors. Wind speeds had increased overnight, and intermittent cloud cover created changing light conditions that would affect target visibility throughout the day. Sarah Chen prepared for the day's challenges, knowing that her sixth-place position made her a target for competitors who had underestimated her abilities. The morning briefing revealed that Day 2 would include the competition's most technically demanding stages, including shots at distances exceeding 200 yards. These extreme long-range challenges separated true precision shooters from merely accomplished marksmen. Environmental conditions would play a crucial role, with wind patterns that could dramatically affect bullet trajectory over such distances. Sarah's preparation routine remained consistent despite the increased pressure and media attention surrounding her performance. She arrived early to study atmospheric conditions, calibrate equipment, and mentally rehearse the day's challenges. Her grandfather provided quiet support while managing the growing number of reporters and industry representatives seeking access to the young competitor. The first stage of Day 2 required shooters to engage targets at 500 yards under time constraints that eliminated extended preparation opportunities. The combination of distance and time pressure had historically proven challenging for competitors who relied heavily on detailed calculations for each shot. Sarah's ability to make rapid environmental assessments would be crucial for maintaining her competitive position. When her turn arrived, Sarah established her firing position with practiced efficiency. The target appeared small through her scope at 100 yards, requiring precise holdover adjustments and careful wind compensation. Her first shot took longer than usual as she studied the complex wind patterns affecting the range, but the extra preparation proved worthwhile with a center hit that impressed observers. The second target presented a different challenge with varying wind conditions across the bullet's flight path. Sarah's ability to read these complex environmental factors demonstrated skills that many professional shooters struggled to master. Her shot placement earned maximum points and maintained her position among the competition leaders as other shooters struggled with the challenging conditions. Stage 2 introduced moving target, elements that tested shooters' ability to track and engage objects in motion. This type of challenge required different skills from static precision shooting, emphasizing timing and target prediction over pure accuracy. Sarah had practiced extensively with moving targets, understanding that modern precision shooting competitions included dynamic elements. Her performance with moving targets revealed another dimension of her exceptional abilities. The mathematical calculations required for successful moving target engagement were complex, involving bullet flight time, target speed, and environmental factors. Sarah's consistent hits demonstrated an intuitive understanding of these calculations that impressed former military snipers familiar with combat shooting scenarios. By mid-morning, Sarah had moved into 4th place overall, closing the gap with leaders who had accumulated slight advantages during the previous day's competition. The improvement in her standings created excitement among spectators and media representatives who recognized the historic significance of her performance. However, the day's most challenging stages remained ahead. Stage 3 presented the competition's signature challenge: precision shooting at 200 yards with environmental conditions that had deteriorated throughout the morning. Wind gusts exceeded 20 miles per hour with direction changes that made consistent shooting extremely difficult. Many competitors struggled to maintain accuracy at this distance under such adverse conditions. Sarah approached the 200-yard challenge with careful preparation, using every available wind indicator to assess atmospheric conditions. The mathematical calculations required for successful shots at this distance were extraordinary, involving complex ballistic equations that accounted for multiple environmental variables. Her first shot required nearly 2 minutes of preparation as she studied changing wind patterns. The shot execution was flawless, with smooth trigger control and perfect follow-through that demonstrated months of technical training. The bullet's flight time to target was nearly 2 seconds, during which atmospheric conditions could change significantly. Sarah's shot impacted within inches of the target center, earning maximum points and drawing sustained applause from spectators. Her second shot at 200 yards faced even more challenging conditions as wind patterns had shifted during the Brief delay between targets. Sarah's ability to recognize and compensate for these changes demonstrated advanced environmental reading skills that few competitors possessed. The successful hit maintained her scoring advantage and solidified her position among the competition leaders. The performance at extreme long range created significant buzz throughout the competition venue. Industry professionals began discussing Sarah's techniques and equipment setup, recognizing that her consistent accuracy at 200 yards represented exceptional shooting ability. Former military snipers acknowledged that her skills would have been valuable in combat situations, requiring precise long-range engagement. Stage 4 tested. Shooters with precision challenges under artificial time pressure designed to simulate stress conditions. The psychological pressure of competitive shooting combined with time constraints created scenarios that revealed true mental discipline. Sarah's ability to maintain technical precision under stress would determine whether she could sustain her position among the leaders. Her approach to time precision shooting remained methodical. Despite external pressure, Sarah's breathing control, trigger technique, and follow-through showed no deterioration under stress conditions that affected many competitors. The consistency of her performance suggested exceptional mental preparation that complemented her technical shooting skills. The final stage of Day 2 required rapid target engagement across multiple distances, testing shooters' ability to make quick equipment adjustments while maintaining accuracy standards. This type of challenge favored competitors with extensive practical experience, potentially disadvantaging younger shooters who lacked battlefield or law enforcement backgrounds. Sarah's performance during rapid engagement challenges surprised many observers who expected her methodical approach to suffer under time pressure. Her target transitions were smooth and efficient, with equipment adjustments that demonstrated thorough familiarity with her rifle system. Each shot was placed with precision that maintained her scoring advantage throughout the stage. Day 2 concluded with Sarah holding third place overall, a remarkable achievement that had transformed her from an interesting story into a legitimate championship contender. Her total scores across varied challenges demonstrated shooting versatility that impressed competition officials and veteran marksmen alike. Evening interviews focused on Sarah's exceptional performance and the possibility that she might become the youngest champion in the competition's history. She handled media attention professionally while maintaining focus on the final day's challenges. Her composure suggested mental preparation that would serve her well during the championship's concluding stages. The shooting community's recognition of Sarah's abilities was evident in the respectful attention she received from competitors and industry professionals. Her technical skills and competitive performance had earned acknowledgement from individuals whose opinions carried significant weight within precision shooting circles. The final day of the National Precision Rifle Championship arrived with perfect atmospheric conditions that promised ideal shooting weather for the competition's most challenging stages. Sarah Chen awoke knowing that her third-place position put her within striking distance of the championship, but also made her a primary target for competitors who had dominated the sport for years. The gap between her and the leaders was narrow enough that exceptional performance could secure victory. Media attention had intensified overnight, as news outlets across the country picked up the story of the 16-year-old girl who was challenging the nation's best marksman. Television crews and reporters crowded the competition venue, transforming what was typically a specialized sporting event into a national news story. Sarah's grandfather worked to shield her from distractions while allowing appropriate media coverage. The morning briefing revealed that the final day would culminate with the King of the Hill Challenge, a legendary stage where the top 10 competitors would face off in elimination-style shooting at progressively longer distances. The survivor of this ultimate test would be crowned national champion and earn recognition as the country's premier precision shooter. Sarah's preparation routine remained unchanged despite the heightened attention and pressure. She studied atmospheric conditions, calibrated her equipment, and mentally rehearsed each stage of the day's competition. Her methodical approach had served her well throughout the championship, and she saw no reason to alter successful strategies for the final day. The first stage of the concluding day tested shooters with precision challenges at 900 yards under conditions that favored technical excellence over speed. Sarah's deliberate shooting style was well suited to this type of challenge, allowing her to leverage the exceptional accuracy that had characterized her performance throughout the competition. Her first shot of the day demonstrated the consistency that had impressed observers for 3 days. The bullet impacted dead center despite wind conditions that required careful compensation. The successful hit maintained her competitive position while building confidence for the increasingly difficult challenges ahead. The second stage introduced elements that tested shooters' ability to adapt to changing conditions rapidly. Targets were positioned to take advantage of terrain features that created unpredictable wind patterns, requiring quick environmental assessment and precise shot placement. Sarah's performance revealed her exceptional ability to read atmospheric conditions under pressure. By mid-morning, the competition had narrowed to 12 shooters who remained mathematically capable of winning the championship. Sarah held her third-place position, but the scoring margins were tight enough that a single missed shot could dramatically affect final standings. The pressure was intense as competitors realized that years of preparation would be decided by performance over the next few hours. The penultimate stage before the King of the Hill challenge required precision shooting at 200 yards with targets arranged in a complex pattern that demanded multiple equipment adjustments. Sarah's systematic approach to this challenge demonstrated the technical preparation that had brought her to championship contention. Each shot was executed with the same careful precision that had characterized her performance throughout the competition. Her shooting at 100 yards produced a group that drew admiration from competition, officials, and fellow competitors. The mathematical precision required for such accuracy was extraordinary, particularly given the pressure of championship competition. Sarah's ability to maintain technical excellence under stress suggested mental preparation that complemented her natural shooting abilities. The final preliminary stage concluded, with Sarah maintaining third place overall, positioning her for the King of the Hill challenge that would determine the national champion. Her total scores across 3 days of competition represented shooting performance that few marksmen could match. Regardless of age or experience level, the King of the Hill format required the top 10 competitors to face elimination-style challenges at distances beginning at 1,000 yards and increasing with each round. Shooters who missed targets were eliminated, creating mounting pressure as the distances increased and the field narrowed. The format had produced dramatic conclusions to previous championships. Sarah entered the King of the Hill competition as the youngest participant by more than a decade and one of only 2 women in the final field. The historical significance of her presence in the championship finale was not lost on observers who recognized that competitive shooting had rarely seen such an exceptional young talent. The first elimination round at 1,000 yards proceeded smoothly for Sarah, whose shot placement earned her advancement to the next distance. 3 competitors were eliminated during this initial stage, narrowing the field to 7 shooters who would face increasingly difficult challenges. The second round at 100 yards presented wind conditions that had intensified throughout the afternoon. Sarah's environmental reading skills proved crucial, as she successfully compensated for complex atmospheric factors that challenged several competitors. Her advancement to the next round maintained her championship hopes while demonstrating the consistency that had characterized her performance. The third elimination round at 200 yards reduced the field to 4 finalists who would compete for the championship at the competition's maximum distance. Sarah's successful navigation of each elimination round had impressed observers who recognized the exceptional skill required for consistent performance under such pressure. The fourth and final round would take place at 300 yards, a distance that pushed both equipment and shooter capabilities beyond normal limits. Environmental factors became critical at such extreme range, with minor atmospheric changes capable of affecting bullet placement significantly. The 4 remaining competitors represented the cream of American precision shooting talent. Sarah stood among these finalists, knowing that her next shot would determine whether she became the youngest national champion in the competition's history or concluded an already remarkable championship showing. The target at 300 yards appeared impossibly small through her scope, requiring precise calculations and flawless execution. The atmosphere was electric as spectators and media representatives focused attention on the final 4 competitors. Sarah's grandfather watched from the spectator area, offering quiet encouragement while marveling at his granddaughter. His journey from curious 12-year-old to championship finalist. The stage was set for a dramatic conclusion to one of the most compelling championships in precision shooting history. Sarah Chen prepared for the shot that would define her competitive career and potentially establish her as the most remarkable young talent the sport had ever seen. The moment had arrived. 4 shooters remained in the King of the Hill finale, standing before targets positioned at 300 yards under atmospheric conditions that would test every aspect of their training and natural ability. Sarah Chen checked her equipment one final time, knowing that the next few minutes would determine whether she would make history as the youngest national champion or conclude an already extraordinary performance. The shooting order had been determined by previous round scores, placing Sarah third in the sequence. She would have the advantage of observing how environmental conditions affected the first 2 shooters while facing the pressure of knowing their results before taking her own shot. The 300-yard distance pushed precision shooting to its absolute limits, requiring calculations and execution that few marksmen could master. The first finalist, a former Marine Corps sniper with 2 previous national championships, approached his shooting position with obvious confidence. His experience showed in the methodical preparation and equipment adjustments that preceded his shot attempt. The crowd fell silent as he settled into position and began his final breathing sequence. The shot broke cleanly, and spectators watched the bullet's flight path toward the distant target. After what seemed like an eternity, the impact indicator showed a hit just outside the center ring, close enough to remain in contention, but not the perfect shot needed for certain victory. The crowd erupted in appreciation for the excellent shooting under extreme conditions. The second finalist was a civilian competitor, known for his technical expertise and equipment innovations. His approach to the 300-yard shot involved complex ballistic calculations and environmental assessments that demonstrated years of study in external ballistics. His shot preparation took longer than usual as he accounted for wind conditions that had shifted slightly since the previous shooter. His shot execution was flawless from a technical standpoint, but the bullet impact fell low of the target center, earning a respectable score that kept him competitive but not in the lead. 2 shooters remained, including Sarah and a former Army sniper whose reputation for performing under pressure was legendary within competitive shooting circles. Sarah watched the Army veteran approach his shooting position with the calm confidence that had made him a 3-time national champion. His experience in combat situations provided advantages in handling pressure that younger competitors often lacked. The crowd recognized his reputation, creating an atmosphere of anticipation for what many expected to be the winning shot. The veteran's shot preparation was efficient and systematic, reflecting years of competition experience and military training. His breathing control was perfect, his equipment positioning was precise, and his trigger technique was flawless. The shot broke with timing that suggested supreme confidence in the outcome. The bullet impact registered as a center hit that earned maximum points, placing enormous pressure on Sarah as the final shooter. She would need a perfect shot to tie the veteran's score, with any miss or less than perfect placement resulting in second place. The target at 300 yards seemed impossibly small as she prepared for the most important shot of her competitive career. Sarah approached her shooting position with the same methodical preparation that had characterized her performance. Throughout the championship, she ignored the crowd noise, media attention, and pressure of the moment, focusing entirely on the technical requirements for success at 300 yards. Her grandfather's teachings about mental discipline had prepared her for this exact situation. The environmental assessment revealed wind conditions that had changed subtly but significantly since the previous shooter. Sarah's ability to recognize and compensate for these atmospheric variations would be crucial for shot placement at such extreme distance. Her ballistic calculations accounted for temperature, humidity, elevation, and complex wind patterns that could affect bullet trajectory. Her rifle setup was perfect, with every component adjusted for maximum precision and reliability. The custom barrel, high-end optics, and precision ammunition represented the culmination of months of preparation and equipment optimization. However, technology alone could not ensure success. The shot would ultimately depend on her ability to execute under pressure. Sarah settled into her shooting position and began the breathing routine that had become second nature through countless hours of practice. Her grip was consistent, her natural point of aim was perfect, and her trigger finger positioning was identical to thousands of previous shots. The familiar routine helped calm her nerves and focus her concentration on shot execution. The target reticle settled on the center of the distant target as Sarah completed her final breathing cycle. The wind indicators she had studied showed consistent patterns that matched her ballistic calculations. Every variable was accounted for. Every preparation was complete. The moment of truth had arrived. The trigger break was clean and smooth with perfect follow-through that demonstrated months of technical training. Sarah maintained her sight picture as the bullet flew toward the target, knowing that any movement could affect her ability to spot the impact and make corrections if another shot were required. The bullet's flight time to the 300-yard target was nearly 3 seconds, during which the crowd remained silent and atmospheric conditions could potentially change. Sarah watched through her scope as the bullet approached the target, her heart racing despite her outward calm. The impact would determine whether her remarkable championship run would conclude with ultimate victory or exceptional achievement without the title. The target indicator flashed, showing a dead center hit that earned perfect points and surpassed the previous leader's score. The crowd erupted in celebration as spectators realized they had witnessed history in the making. Sarah Chen had become the youngest national precision rifle champion in the competition's 40-year history, achieving what many considered impossible. Her grandfather reached her first, tears streaming down his face as he embraced the granddaughter, whose potential he had recognized 4 years earlier. The shooting community surrounded them with congratulations and acknowledgement of an achievement that would be remembered for generations. Sarah had not only won the championship but had done so with a record-breaking shot that demonstrated skills beyond her years. Media interviews followed the victory ceremony, with Sarah handling questions about her historic achievement with the same composure that had characterized her shooting performance. Industry sponsors approached with endorsement opportunities that could transform her from talented amateur to professional athlete. The shooting world had discovered a new star whose potential seemed limitless. The championship trophy represented more than individual achievement. It symbolized the power of dedication, proper training, and natural talent combined with unwavering determination. Sarah Chen had proven that age and experience, while valuable, could not overcome exceptional ability properly developed and applied. The victory ceremony was emotional for everyone involved. Sarah stood on the podium holding a trophy that was nearly as tall as she was, surrounded by competitors who had graciously acknowledged her superior performance. The national anthem played as the championship flag was raised, marking a moment that would be remembered throughout the precision shooting community for decades to come. Her record-breaking shot at 300 yards would be analyzed and discussed by shooting enthusiasts worldwide. The mathematical precision required for such accuracy under championship pressure was extraordinary, representing a level of skill that few marksmen ever achieved, regardless of age or experience. Technical experts began studying video footage of her shot execution, seeking to understand the techniques that produced such remarkable results. The immediate aftermath of victory brought opportunities that Sarah had never imagined. Olympic development coaches expressed interest in her potential for international competition. Equipment manufacturers offered sponsorship deals that could provide financial support for continued competitive shooting. Television producers discussed documentary projects about her remarkable journey from curious teenager to national champion. Despite the attention and opportunities, Sarah remained focused on continuous improvement and future challenges. The national championship was an incredible achievement, but she understood that maintaining such performance would require ongoing dedication and preparation. Her grandfather reminded her that success created expectations that could be more challenging than the original pursuit of excellence. The impact of Sarah's victory extended beyond competitive shooting into broader discussions about youth, development, and gender equality in traditionally male-dominated sports. Her achievement inspired young women across the country to pursue shooting sports, while demonstrating that proper training and natural talent could overcome conventional barriers. Educational institutions began reaching out with scholarship opportunities that recognized both her athletic achievements and academic potential. Sarah's disciplined approach to shooting had translated into exceptional performance in mathematics and science courses, making her an attractive candidate for engineering and technical programs at prestigious universities. The shooting community embraced Sarah as an ambassador for the sport, recognizing that her story could attract new participants and positive media attention. Her combination of exceptional ability, professional demeanor, and compelling personal narrative made her an ideal representative for precision shooting disciplines. As the championship concluded and participants prepared to return home, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought her from local shooting ranges to national prominence. The experience had taught her lessons about preparation, pressure management, and personal potential that would serve her well regardless of future pursuits. Her grandfather's investment in her training had produced results that exceeded even his optimistic expectations. The bond between them had strengthened through shared dedication to excellence and mutual respect for the sport that had brought them together. Their relationship represented the positive impact that mentorship and family support could have on young talent. The drive home from Wyoming provided time for Sarah to process the magnitude of her achievement and begin planning for future challenges. The national championship was a significant milestone, but she understood that continued success would require maintaining the same dedication and approach that had brought initial victory. Media coverage of her victory continued for weeks after the championship, with stories appearing in publications far beyond the shooting sports community. Sarah's achievement had captured public imagination, demonstrating that exceptional talent and determination could produce remarkable results regardless of conventional expectations about age and experience. The record-breaking shot that secured her victory would be remembered as one of the most impressive achievements in competitive shooting history. The combination of distance, pressure, and precision required for success at that moment represented the pinnacle of marksmanship skills applied under the most challenging circumstances. Sarah Chen had transformed from a curious teenager learning basic shooting skills into the youngest national precision rifle champion in history. Her journey inspired countless others while establishing her as a role model for young athletes pursuing excellence in any discipline. The future held unlimited potential for a young woman who had already achieved what many considered impossible. With the skills and determination necessary to reach even greater heights in competitive shooting and beyond.